Look, I'm gonna start out on my own.
Yeah?
Why not? Now's the time.
Page 22. Just the job.
Simplicity size 1 and 2 towels to Simplicity nighttime towels. From individually wrapped size 1 and slim towels to pant liners. Simplicity gives you the confidence to take everything in your stride. Simplicity.
Take everything in your stride.
Sun comes up, day begins, and it won't be long till we're drinking it in. Drinking in the sun, sun-kissed is the one. Drinking in the sun, sun-kissed is the one. Drinking in the sun.
Here we have two hungry men. Two very hungry men. And here we have two chicken and vegetable pies. One slightly bigger than the other. Let's see what happens. Well? Oh dear. Ah, conclusive proof that hungry man satisfies the biggest appetite.
Hello there.
Terry, you've grown a bit.
I've been making my way in the world.
Boy, I can see that.
Nothing much changed round here then.
Except for these new Tudor specials. Shall I take a couple of packets out of your wages?
Very funny. Roast beef and pickle fare. Now these are worth climbing the mountain for.
So will you be wanting your paper round back?
Maybe. Maybe.
New Tudor specials. Something rather special from Tudor.
You never thought you'd find a Formula One inspired engine in a car that cruises at a whispering 65 decibels. You never thought you'd find anti-lock brakes, catalytic converter, and cruise control in an executive car that takes you beyond conventional.
Never say never.
The Accord 2-litre I from Honda.
Presenting the amazing, the quite incredible Ultra Togs with Stay Dry panel. New Ultra Togs, stay dry, stay happy. Doop.
On call with the London Fire Brigade. At emergencies. At ease. In training. And keeping cool in the heat of the moment.
All that hissing noise you can hear, that cylinder's letting off, right? It's a great game they could go bang.
When London burns, ITV goes into action with the real firefighters in a new documentary series, Fire, next Wednesday at 9.
Tonight on ITV, Tales of the Unexpected.
I don't think you should have any more to drink,
Oh, do shut up. I'll drink what I like and say what I like. Eat your pudding.
John Deteen and Susan Penhaligon have a love-hate relationship.
What's the matter? Oh, God.
It's your tongue.
Can you believe in such devotion?
She's more obsessed.
A dangerous infatuation.
I love her so much, Tis.
Hit and Run, A Tale of the Unexpected, tonight at 10:10 on ITV.
This is Grampian television serving the north of Scotland. Now time for the news from ITN with Nicholas Owen.
The news from ITN.
Back to Earth. Now Britain's first cosmonaut wants another space trip. As Rajiv Gandhi's son collects his ashes, a likely successor's found. South Africa's Zulus brandish weapons of defiance. The youngsters who suffered misery in council-run homes. Good evening. Britain's first cosmonaut, Helen Sharmans, is getting used to life back on Earth tonight after completing her 8-day mission in space. Her Soyuz spacecraft touched down in Soviet Central Asia. She told reporters she felt very heavy after a week of weightlessness, but said she'd love to go back one day to do a spacewalk.
Britain's historic space mission reached its final stages early this morning as Helen Sharmans bid farewell to her Soviet colleagues who'd accompanied her into space. But the most hazardous part of the journey lay ahead. These pictures show her capsule undocking from the space station Mir. Here we see Soyuz TM-11 travelling through the Earth's atmosphere at 18,000 miles an hour. Last-minute calculations at mission control on the ground as the capsule approached Earth. Its speed was slowed by parachutes and then in the last few seconds before landing by powerful retro rockets. They landed in Soviet Central Asia, the landing capsule scorched on re-entry. Miss Sharmans and the 2 Soviet cosmonauts who returned from Mir with her were taken straight to Moscow, where they'll undergo medical tests in quarantine. Britain's first cosmonaut, returning after 8 days in space, was steady on her feet and exhilarated to be back.
The air is very fresh. I feel very heavy. The smell is wonderful.
Valentina Tereshkova, who like Helen made history, she was the first woman in space, was there to meet her.
What was the first thing that struck you about Earth again? It was the, Victor gave me a small book, one of the books that we were using for emergency situations, and I could hardly lift it up.
For the Russians, it was another small step. But for Miss Sharmans and her British backup team, it had been a giant leap. Penny Marshall, ITN, Moscow.
The parachutes opened and everything.
For Helen Sharmans' father, the landing was sweet relief.
Great, lovely.
In Sheffield, friends and neighbours helped the Sharman family to celebrate their daughter's return to Earth and her new place in the history books. They were proud and delighted.
I feel elated to think that it's been successful and she landed safely. Sad in a way that she would like to stay up longer because she's enjoyed it so much, but I'm pleased it's a safe landing.
Yeah, I think there's a degree of relief that this stage of the mission's over. We knew that there were 3 critical stages: the launch, the docking and the re-entry. And I suppose it's because we weren't there for this particular part of it that it made it more tense.
Later, television news confirmed Helen's safe landing.
British astronaut Helen Sharmans comes back to Earth.
Although the experiments Helen performed on Mir won't win any Nobel Prizes, she is the first Briton in space. But some, like the chairman of the House of Commons All-Party Space Committee, aren't convinced about manned spaceflight.
I must admit, looking at it so far, one's had very little real feedback from the Russian cosmonauts, the American astronauts, as to the practical application of manned spaceflight. And so there is a question mark in my mind, and that in no way detracts from a really wonderful personal achievement on her part.
Whatever the arguments, one question remains. It's Helen's 28th birthday on Thursday. What do you buy someone who's just back from space?
Unionist politicians say more troops should be sent to Northern Ireland to counter the growing number of terrorist attacks. In the latest incident, 2 policemen were injured by an IRA bomb at Cookstown in County Tyrone. The Northern Ireland Secretary Peter Brooke is preparing again to get all-party peace talks underway.
The IRA bomb was in a van abandoned in the centre of a large Protestant housing estate in Cookstown. It disintegrated in the blast, pieces of its bodywork crashing into houses nearby. 2 police officers were slightly injured and 11 civilians were taken to hospital suffering from shock. Extensive damage was caused to at least 60 homes. The escalating wave of IRA violence prompted the local MP to call for a military clampdown, saying too much reliance was placed on the Brooke initiative.
There is no way that we'll negotiate the IRA away.
we'll defeat the IRA. And those in authority, including Mr. Brooke, better get it into their skull that the people of Ulster are sick with promises. They want to have action.
The soldier killed in last night's IRA attack on a West Belfast army base was named today as 44-year-old Corporal Terence O'Neill, a dog handler from Morpeth in Northumberland. He was due to leave the army in 6 months' time. This afternoon, Sinn Féin supporters passed by the army base on their way to a demonstration against a permanent order which bans them from marching in Belfast city centre. Police blocked their way and called on them to disperse. The demonstration passed off peacefully. Andrew Simmons, ITN, Belfast.
Rebel forces in Ethiopia say they've captured Addis Ababa's international airport from government troops. Heavy gunfire has also been heard tonight from around the presidential palace. The rebels had earlier given assurances that they wouldn't attack the capital before peace talks, which start in London tomorrow.
With life in Ethiopia disintegrating, the British community have pulled out, knowing that tomorrow's peace talks may only delay bitter fighting between government and rebel troops.
The last week there's been about 5,000 Ethiopian soldiers coming in, and they've just got their weapons and they haven't got any pay, and they're just wandering around the streets. It's quite tense.
Tension, apprehension, uncertainty. I would say those would be the words I would use for what's the situation is at the moment.
It really does seem as though the rebels do have control of most of the country and that they are ready to take over power if that were possible.
Tigrayan rebels have now completely encircled the capital, Addis Ababa, and the other main group fighting the government, the Eritreans, have captured the key Red Sea port of Assab. Earlier they'd taken the provincial capital, Asmara. And tonight it's reported not just that the air base at Debre Zeit had fallen to rebels, but that sustained gunfire can be heard in the capital. But some Ethiopians warn that there can be no military solution.
There is absolutely no other way of solving the problem of power in that country other than by trying to accept the principle of peacefully negotiating a constitutional settlement. No other way.
It's not just the Westerners that have been evacuated. Ethiopia's Jews were yesterday airlifted to Israel. Diplomats say negotiations are the country's last chance of avoiding chaos.
A veteran Indian politician and close friend of the Gandhi family emerged tonight as the likely successor to Rajiv Gandhi. His widow, Sonia, has refused to take over the leadership of the Congress party from her murdered husband. Now the party has turned to the former cabinet minister, 69-year-old Narasimha Rao.
Just after dawn, and Rahul Gandhi returns to the funeral pyre to collect his father's ashes. A traditional Hindu ceremony conducted by the same priest who's performed the death rites for 3 generations of the Gandhi family. The poignancy of the moment was heightened by a sudden storm. In eerie light and strong winds, Rahul doused the ashes with holy water from the river Ganges, where finally they'll be scattered. As daybreak became like night, the winds brought urgency to the task of filling the copper urns. Eventually they were carried away, Rahul taking one himself. Throughout the day they remained on display at the home of Rajiv's grandfather, Jawaharlal Nehru. Sonia Gandhi appeared today looking exhausted. After her reluctance to enter politics, this man, Narasimha Rao, is emerging as the most likely successor to Rajiv Gandhi as president of the Congress party. A former foreign minister under 2 generations of Gandhis, he's confident the end of the dynasty won't mean the end of Congress.
We have lost prime ministers, we have lost presidents, we have lost leaders in the Congress. But the Congress has never lacked stability, never become unstable because of one death.
Tonight, it appears, senior Congress party officials have given up trying to persuade Sonia Gandhi to stand as president, fearing it might backfire. But she will be under pressure to campaign in the forthcoming elections to convert sympathy for Rajiv Gandhi into votes. Mark Austin, ITN, Delhi.
Thousands of Zulus have brandished tribal weapons at a rally in South Africa in defiance of their political rivals, the African National Congress. The Zulu king accused the ANC of waging a vendetta against his people.
The Zulus declared this a cultural occasion, and so they carried their so-called cultural weapons, the spears and sticks which the white government has declined to ban outright. The Zulu leaders, in traditional warrior skins, told 40,000 followers they came to proclaim peace.
We are committed to peace. From the time of his great-great-grandfather, King Cetshwayo, all our kings and the Zulu nation have been committed to peace.
But the Zulu king made clear they would not lay down their spears.
The call to ban the bearing of casual weapons by Zulus is an insult to my manhood. It is an insult to the manhood of every Zulu man. We carry them for pride, but not to kill.
In a petition to a police chief, the Zulus condemned the African National Congress, accusing it of debasing their king and of killing Zulus with guns and grenades.
The Zulu leaders claim to have spoken for peace, but in their attacks on the ANC and in their refusal to lay down their lethal weapons, the implicit warning is of war.
The Zulus deny that they are already on the warpath against the ANC, but they serve notice today that in a battle for political power, they are ready and armed. Kevin Dunn, ITN, Soweto.
Reports are just coming in of a plane crash tonight in Thailand. An Austrian airliner with at least 213 people on board apparently exploded in mid-air northwest of Bangkok. A report out this week is expected to be strongly critical of conditions in children's homes run by Staffordshire County Council. It'll single out the controversial pin-down system under which children were punished by being held in solitary confinement. The report says that more than 100 children were mistreated. 10 staff have been suspended in the run-up to the publication of the report. ITN spoken to one girl, Nicola, who was held in a home in Stoke-on-Trent.
Nicola spent just over a month in one of the council's children's homes. For 3 weeks of that time, she was held in solitary confinement, in so-called pin-down rooms, wearing only her underwear and seeing nobody except staff who fed her.
You had your dignity stripped of you, that you wore your nightie all day. The first night I was there, a male member of staff had to watch me having a bath to make sure I didn't jump out the window.
She was sent to 245 Hartshill Road after problems at home. She's one of nearly 100 problem children who were maltreated while in council care, according to the report to be published this week. The report, chaired by Mr Alan Levy QC, is expected to heavily criticise Staffordshire County Council for allowing the pin-down system to be used in their homes. Senior members of the Social Services Department are likely to be singled out for criticism for not stopping the practice. One of the opposition councillors who helped unearth the pin-down technique said it had been going on for 6 years.
I think there was certainly a cover-up went on. I wouldn't like to name any particular names, but I don't believe that senior councillors could have been unaware that this practice was happening in the department in the north of the county.
Tonight, the chairman of Staffordshire County Council's Social Services Committee said they were waiting to see the report.
We are going to look at the report very, very carefully indeed, assess what is said and take as much action as we possibly can as quickly as possible.
10 senior county council officers have been instructed to take paid leave of absence pending the outcome of the report.
Golf and Seve Ballesteros has taken a 2-stroke lead in the PGA Championship at Wentworth. He goes into the final round tomorrow ahead of the German Bernhard Langer. Ballesteros sank 4 20-foot putts to end the day with a 15 under par total of 201. And that's all from ITN for this evening. Goodbye.